I'm here to tell you that I think that there is a case for making Huntsville weird. In fact, weirder. So, when I learned English, I found that I needed to check my words really carefully. So I went ahead and checked weird in the dictionary, and quite frankly, I was kind of scared of what I found, lots of nefarious stuff. So we're going to stick to these parts of the meaning that I really enjoy a lot. The parts that talk about the atypical, the original. The parts that talk about when you and I are different and unique. And let's first address the elephant in the room. How many of you were born in Huntsville? Very good. How many in Alabama? All right. How many in the US? Okay, how many on Earth? Just checking, guys. All right. So here's the thing. There's 26 nationalities represented in Huntsville. Did you know that this year, a little later this month, it's going to be our 5th international festival, and it's an annual festival, right here in Huntsville. So it's kind of weird for the South, isn't it? However, it's not just about international migration. Look at these maps. These are from the Applied Population Laboratory at the University of Wisconsin, and they show from the 50s our evolution. Pretty much everybody's leaving the South, from what I see. However, almost 20% of the population in Huntsville is new immigrants. This is our German rocket scientist, von Braun, the military coming in to work on the ballistic missile program. Fast forward to the 1960s, now we see the people coming from the Apollo program, again, more migration. Then, this is the 70s. Apollo program closes, and we lose some people, but that is only temporary. In the 80s, we continue to gain people. In the 90s, we gain more people. And in 2000, actually, we have quite a bit of gain, most of it in Madison. So that's pretty interesting. And it hasn't stopped. If you look at this decade, and this is a very recent study by Richard Florida, you can see how we have been gaining steadily not only domestic migrants, but also international migrants. However, cultural and national background is not the only reason why we're weird. We're also weird because of the normal thing that we all talk about. So another show of hands. How many of you have an advanced degree or are working on an advanced degree? All right. How many of you are engineers? All right. Okay. So that's the usual, right? That's our traditional weird, actually, right? Look at this. This is 1950s picture, right? So we know very well that this town has a tradition to be called a city of engineers or a town of engineers. In fact, I remember at some point I was bragging how my son's soccer coaches were both rocket scientists. I mean, where on earth can you say that? However, if you look at this from a perspective of around the nation, at our surrounding neighbors, yes, we are much better educated than they are and much better well off. But if you look at other tech hubs, quite frankly, it's not that different. So now, this is where I need my beer, because I'm going to ask a really, really tough question. And, I'm taking a big risk here. I'm interested to know if there is something that you guys do, either as your main work or as an alternate work, that will be weird in a town of engineers. Right? So I want to know, how many doctors are here? How many lawyers? My goodness, none one. Oh, there's one there? Okay. Okay, how many artists are in this? Okay. How many photographers? And please, keep your hands up. How many photographers? How many movie makers? Really? It's all engineers? Okay, there's another one. All right. Okay, well, this is weird. It's not what I was expecting. Because what we do at Rocket Hatch, we have these meetings where we invite people. And one thing that we do is we give them these tags where we put in color labels for the different things that they do. And we have tags for artistic interest, tags for technical interest, and tags for business interest. And what we have found, funny enough, is that most of the people don't want to have only one color. And you see this a lot, right? You see people that have a lot of different things, and people that are dedicated to things that are not the usual Huntsville weird, not an engineer or a rocket scientist, but actually an artist or somebody that is putting a food business, putting a brewery. And this is, I believe, is the new weird. It's what we're starting to look at. So I started to look into the demographics that came from the recent study that is called Big Picture Huntsville that the city contracted. And I looked at the demographic composition in 2000, which they had, and it shows that, if you see here, leading the pack in the demographic scale is the Generation Xers, myself, that had our young families back in 2000, small children, and basically we were moving to town and doing our work. However, when you look at 2012, this is what you find. Now, the people that are leading the pack are the Millennials, and these guys are weird, trust me. And they're coming up with all these ideas of these new things they want to do. And I think that that's very interesting because it's going to affect a lot of what we do. Now, our generation, the Xers, we're still up here, but now we're starting to look at what is the next thing that is going to happen in our lives. What is going to be our next steps in our careers? So I think there's an interesting opportunity that is shaking up. And if you don't believe me, just go to Low Mill, go to a food truck rally, go to a concert, and take a look at the crowd that assembles. So here's what I want to propose. I want to propose that the town is changing from a town that is not just engineers, but it's also a town that has started to bring a lot of other talents and a lot of interest to play. And this is a great example, TEDx. I mean, who knew that 500 people will assemble to a place like TEDx? This is not a rocket science contest, right? This is actually quite a very different idea. But there's all these different activities that are happening in town that I believe are a harbinger of this new Weirder Huntsville. And I believe that this new weird is cool. It's cool because it's making our life more fun, it's making our life more enjoyable, but at the same time, it's making our economy more diverse and more resilient. And I even would like to think that we are at a tipping point. We're reaching sort of like a critical mass. So here's what I want to propose. It's not just a case, it's really a call to action. Next time you meet someone in town, ask them how they're weird. Embrace your own weirdness and help us make Huntsville weirder and better.